skincare and body care skin line.
Yes, yes. So ultimately, I have I started off with just skincare products, basic skincare products, just a cleanser, moisturizer years ago, and that turned into a lot of my clients wanting more things, lotions and different types of soaps, masks, skin masks. So I ventured, and it took almost about 2 years of research for me to get this stuff together. So now I've gotten it together, and it's a whole brand.
That's really interesting. It's really dope.
Yes.
What inspired you to get into that?
So years ago, I started working with high school girls that had a little self-esteem issues. I originally, back in my college career, I wanted to work with children.
Gotcha.
Just to give a backstory, I had my son a month after I graduated college. So I walked across the stage 8 months pregnant, having contractions as I'm walking.
Seriously?
Yeah. So after graduation, we had a graduation ceremony, and I went on bed rest. So after that, I thought I wanted to work with children after I had my son. I didn't want to work with children anymore.
Got it.
I don't know where the transition happened there, but that happened. So I started to work with teenage girls. And originally, I just wanted to counsel with them and kind of be a older sister kind of friend thing. But I started noticing a lot of the girls were self-conscious because of their hitting puberty. Skincare issues, they don't know what to do, can't afford to go to the dermatologist and get all these expensive skincare treatments. So that's where all of that started. I thought I only wanted to do that for a little while. Then I started really kind of jumping in the beauty world and seeing all the different things there was. So that kind of transitioned me to here. Post-COVID, I launched my business online, and it's been up ever since.
Okay. And the business is good?
The business is great. I haven't opened it online fully to where I'm broadcasting it all the time, only because I don't want my business only to be about skincare products.
Got you.
So that's where I'm trying to find the transition of, I'm known for skincare products, beauty products, but then I want to be actively pursuing others finding self-love, because that's really ultimately where it came from.
Okay. Interesting.
That's
I like
a lot.
that. No, I like that. That's an interesting story because I'll be damned. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, that's an interesting story because a lot of times when I hear people speak about starting their business and what encouraged them or motivated them to do that, it's always different.
Always different.
Yeah, it's always different. And it's always just interesting because someone who is himself an entrepreneur and has a great interest in people who are entrepreneurial.
Absolutely.
Like yeah, I just like hearing those stories because a lot of times they help me, they motivate me, they encourage me, and they give me something to draw on to kind of help others as well. So
absolutely. And you know what? I think since I've started my business, I've learned that a lot of us, it's going to take us to connect to each other for us to grow.
Absolutely.
When I first started doing my business, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to keep everything quiet, not really share my message until I had the idea of perfection. My idea of perfection. And I had some very great people that kept telling me, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it out there. Put it out there. I even sometimes have this fear that, like, I don't want to share my message because I haven't gotten to a space that I want to be. So me have taken the journey of meeting a lot of entrepreneurs, this last 4 years has grown my my own personal self-esteem and business confidence to where I feel confident to talk to others and do things like this. Mm-hmm. Because had I not, I would just be stuck. You know how they say a lot of businesses fail within the first 5 years?
Yeah. I
would have been that person.
You think so?
Absolutely. Because I didn't have the confidence to do it.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't that I couldn't pull it out of me. Mm-hmm. Part of me didn't want to because I was scared of the response that I would get from others, which leads me to be where I am now and saying that I want to share a message for people that surround me, but then also all the people that we're connected to. Mm-hmm. I always tell myself I'm like the self-proclaimed self-care lifestyle person.
Gotcha.
That's a message that I really have researched and tried to emulate these last, I would say, 6 to 7 years. Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to share that message with everybody.
Yeah, so. That makes sense. So I have a question about that, though.
Sure.
Like, what is that rooted in? What do you think for you personally? Like, because, sometimes when people get into self-care, self-love, trying to, help people, they have an interesting story or backstory that kind of paved the way for that.
Oh, honey, she has an interesting story. So, I grew up very religious, and in that religion, they always taught women to be humble.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm using that word loosely because I think it was a little bit more extreme for us. But so in growing up like that, we were always taught as women, don't speak in front of men, don't lift your head in front of men.
Were y'all holiness?
Yeah.
I grew up holiness.
Honey. Yeah. It was rough. It was certainly rough. So, growing up like that, they always taught us women, like, in the presence of certain people, like, you need to basically be in the corner with your nose in the wall. So, growing up like that, and then as I became an adult, I left that lifestyle, that religious lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And when I realized all the reprogramming, rewiring that I had to do for my own self, I didn't realize I was brainwashed.
Damn. That's a strong word.
No,
and I'm not saying it's not actual and factual, but yeah, that is a very strong word.
Yeah, and it took me years to actually admit to myself, like, sis, you was brainwashed.
Yeah. Wow.
But let me tell you this, and this is why I want to push this message so hard. I'm 31 years old.
Okay. I thought you were younger than that.
Yeah.
I did.
Everybody always thinks I'm like 18 or something like that. But okay, so I'm 31. And when I look back at where I am in my life now, where I'm trying to be, let's say 5 years, 10 years from now, I have to seriously be honest with myself and say a lot of that brainwashing is still in here. And that's almost like a daily struggle for me personally, is to learn how to love myself through all that trauma that I experienced. I didn't know it was trauma until I started trying to heal myself in other areas. And I'm like, wow, I never touched on this subject because I was brainwashed.
Right.
So, that being said, that's where I'm at with my message of self-love. It's been a journey for me, but what I have learned, and I do want to share with everyone that's watching, self-love is not a 6-month time period, annual time period. This is a lifelong journey. Mm-hmm. A lifelong journey that you have to consciously wake up every day and say, I want to be a better me than I was yesterday. Whether it was my attitude that caused me to not be successful yesterday, I want to work on my attitude today. If it was my procrastination, I want to be successful today in that area.
Gotcha.
We will all learn that it's a lifelong journey that we have to sometimes right the wrongs of our past, whether regardless of where it stems from.
Mm-hmm. I just realized something.
Oh, is it off?
It's not off. It's not properly adjusted.
I'm glad you know how to do this. Awesome. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with my message and why I want to be able to share with a lot of people, because as you mentioned before, there's always a why and why someone is doing what they're doing.
That's true. Yeah.
And you never know until you start opening up into having conversations with people, and you'll realize, wow, mine may have been religion and why certain doors I'm now in my life, but then someone else I could look on the opposite side of the street, they may have lived in poverty or in a violent situation, or could have had a great life, but they didn't know the opposite side of that great life.
Right.
So we all have different stories, but what we will often find out is that a lot of our struggles are the same, and a lot of our healing mechanisms will be the same as well. True.
Yeah, because I thought you were going to tell me some horror story about how some guy, mistreated you, left you, abandoned you, beat you. That's because no. And I'm not making light of it or making fun of it, but that's a lot of women have that story. Molestation and all that crazy stuff. So, but for it to have been a religious thing that just kind of, and I do, trust me, I do get that. Because I remember going to a holiness church, and I remember women couldn't wear pants and just all this stuff.
That was me.
Yeah, couldn't wear certain clothes, couldn't fit a certain way. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
I was telling, I had some family that grew up the same way as well. And actually this weekend, my cousins and I had like a girls' bachelorette night, and we were talking about some of those things. And there was another young lady there that had never went through the same experience. And I said, it's funny that we would have these women's meetings, however often, I can't remember if it was once a month or more often, that we as young girls, so I'm talking about maybe about anywhere from 12 to about 16, we would have to practice in front of all of each other, walking and sitting down to make sure it wasn't, misleading.
Inappropriate.
Absolutely. So imagine you have like 8 girls on this side, 8 girls on that side, and you're walking in a line, and you have an instructor that's telling you, loosen up, don't sway as hard. And in your mind as a young girl, like, you're naive. We were very naive. So I'm thinking, why are we doing this? And you're talking about, basically not flaunting yourself in front of men. But these are supposed to be uprighteous men. So the connection to me
it left the gap, right? Like,
yeah, I didn't understand it, but I didn't question it either.
Right.
So it was just funny how we all had that connection, and was like, yeah, we're going through the same struggles with trying to figure out that balance of what we dealt with, who we are now. Because even very much so, I don't have a lot of relationships with people in my past from that church organization because I'm now very much free and liberated. I want to be me and whoever I want to be in the future. And that's still not acceptable. And still in the back of my mind, I'm consciously aware of that and concerned about it, which I should not be.
It's hard not to be, though. Because,
Absolutely.
we are social creatures. You know what I mean? And as such, any form of rejection for any reason, like, we're not open to that. We don't welcome that. You know what I mean?
Very much so.
And so they would definitely ostracize you and shun you. And
yeah, they do.
They still do.
Oh yeah, they do. Thankfully, I'm in my own bubble now, so I'm not aware of it until I'm face to face with it.
Gotcha.
In which there are occasional times a year that I am faced with it. But I think in my growth, I own it.
So even family look at you like, yeah, that's the wild one, or not really.
Well, they can't say I'm the wild one. They'll say, I think they'll say more of a, that's the sassy one. I think I get that label more so because I'm not wild, but I'm very much whimsical in my approach on life, you know.
Okay.
I may do something that may seem, just a little outlandish, as in, go to... I have not done this with my family, but like if I wanted to go to a new beach with friends or family or what, I would be the type of person like, let's go experience that, Yeah. We may not get nude, but
but it's still cool. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm that kind of whimsical person, but to somebody else, they'll be like, kind of turn their nose up at it. But
she's crazy.
She's crazy. And that's funny. Like, when I do get around my family that are still religious, that's the little whispers I get. She's crazy.
So you hear it.
They say it to me.
They say it to you.
Oh, they
think
say
you're
it
crazy.
to my face.
They think you're crazy. Wow.
Yeah, but you know what? I take that in a stride now. Because I'm showing you something you haven't seen.
True.
I'm glad that I have people in my life that can embrace me for where I am now. Yeah. I was not always this way. I was not always like nice and bubbly and happy all the time and friendly. I wasn't always like that.
It happens. I
had to grow myself there.
Yeah, I think I had to grow myself to being the person that I am. I was extremely antisocial. And just didn't like people very much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still don't like people very much. But I'm better. I'm better at it.
Tell me why you don't like people as much.
People are slimy, man. People are cruddy. People are disloyal. People can't be trusted. You know what I mean? And so, being the type of person that I was, being raised the way that I was, I had a degree of loyalty to me. So when it came to a situation where me and my friends got into something and they were questioned, I was like, well, man, I can't tell them my boys, But they would give me up with no problem, that sort of thing. So I quickly learned that, hey, you know what? People can't be trusted.
Wow.
So, and then, even relationship stuff, I was not always the most faithful guy. So I made a lot of mistakes. Lots of men do the same shit that I do or did. Did. Okay.
He said that. You better clear that up.
But no, so at the end of the day, I just, I don't like the way that people are all out for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say I've not had really a lot of life experiences like that.
That's good.
So, yeah, I am very fortunate of that. So I don't know relationships with people in general to be slimy or disloyal. And so so
you probably hadn't dealt with a lot of people.
I have not. I really have not. And there again, that goes back to the lifestyle of me being raised up in a church. That's what they used to teach us. We're keeping you in this bubble so you don't have to deal with this in life.
Gotcha.
It worked. It certainly worked. But now, you know, when I meet new people and they come off at me just like, you know, it kind of, I'm able to brace myself because I'm not aware of it versus somebody who's accustomed to it. They know how to quickly react. I'm not a reactor.
And that's a great thing.
It's a great thing. I had to learn now as I'm starting more so now in my adulthood. I would say within the last 2 years that I'm starting to see that a lot of people are not like me. And I am going through a difficult moment of saying, okay, how do I rise above this? Do you keep people in your life as you're learning, as you're going through this journey, or do you push them off to the side and say, hey, I'm not there, you're here, I want to go there, what's the mix? So that's a challenge for me. But I'm learning. I will say I have learned to keep my circle very small.
Yeah.
And when I say very small, like certain family members, right?
Certain family members.
Yeah, and to those family members that's watching, don't hold your breath because I may or may not be talking about you. But, you know, you have to say that to people because a lot of people get offended. But
absolutely.
I think what's important is when you're on this self-love journey, this self-development, personal development, you cannot attach your dreams and your desires for yourself with someone else's thoughts for you.
Exactly.
Their expectations of you.
You have to just,
It's separate.
Yeah.
I can say for here, okay, Brittany, this is what I expect from you. And then I could say, okay, now when I come around my mother or father, I know their expectations for me. Are they going to merge? Possibly. Possibly. But where do you have a balance in all of that? That's important, I think, for us to all figure out. How do you have a balance of saying, this is for me, this is what you want for me, this is what society wants for me, this is what whoever wants for me. How do I merge all of these?
You don't.
Do you not?
No.
Please tell me why.
Because your life is yours. And live it for you. That's it. That's it.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
because I don't worry about pleasing other people. Even my family, even my mother, as dear as she is to me, she tells me, you gotta live your own life. It's your life, man. I can't tell you what to do. You're a grown man. You're gonna do what you want to do. I'm not gonna judge you. If you need me, I'm here. You know, and that's rare. Believe it or not.
Absolutely,
it's rare.
It is. It is. But I think sometimes I like to challenge myself to say that, can you offer someone else who holds value in your life? Not the people who don't, holds value in your life. Can I be comparable of what they want from me?
Gotcha. Yeah, I get that.
Can you?
Yeah.
So, like, for an example, I use my mother as an example. When I'm with my mother, I know there's a certain way that she prefers me to have my hair, have certain clothes, and even certain topics of conversations that we either steer away from or steer more towards. I'm okay with making that adjustment for her.
Gotcha.
You know, because certain things that, let's just say, are not for her, are not going to be for her. They're going to be for, let's say, for instance, my father. I have an amazing, beautiful relationship with my father. Anybody who knows me, I'm a daddy's girl.
Okay, yeah.
I can talk to my father about love, education, about sex, about anything. And for an example, I can't do that with my mother. But I know how to coexist in both of their presence to say, I'm staying in my boundaries with you, and you're staying in my boundaries with me.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's it, but it's a challenge. We all have to learn that versus having the mentality of, oh, I don't care. I am who I am. Now, people that's like that, I think I tend to steer away from that. Yeah, we need to be more concerned about ourselves and our own personal development. But one thing we'll realize is we need other people to help grow our personal development. You'll think about the relationship of a mother and a child. That's your first teacher. So if you look at each child, there's characteristics of their mother that they'll never lose.
True.
Because that was their first teacher, their most consistent teacher. So to say, oh, I'm a do what I want to. My mama knows who I am. I'm not. I personally am not down for that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I want to be able to say, hey, my mom, this is me. And if you can only deal with it for 30 minutes, let's enjoy those 30 minutes.
Yeah. So you would say, you would be the one to say, I'm going to mom's house. Let me change my hair real quick. Let me change my clothing real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can respect
Only
that.
because I guess my father used to tell me years ago, if you doing that to keep it's not about them. That's where we get that wrong. It's not about pleasing that other person. You're doing something that's going to keep you level-headed in that moment. Could you imagine, let's just say, if there was a girl who was a night show dancer.
A stripper?
A stripper. If she was a stripper,
yeah,
and she had a very religious grandmother who raised her as a mother, why should she come in there with, the see-through lace and, just to hear her granny say, yeah,
typically they won't. Because out of respect.
Out of respect, but that respect is a form of you loving yourself to say, hey, I don't have to be Diamond from the Players Club 24/7. Right. When I go around my grandmother Pearl, I can look like a Pearl.
Okay.
I can take that Diamond nighttime outfit off and put on a decent dress.
Right.
Or
not a muumuu.
Huh?
Not a muumuu.
Not a muumuu. Granny gonna have on her muumuu.
Right. Well, you said look like a pearl. I'm just like,
you might have a pearl tank top on. Like a little.
Gotcha.
Leggings. But, I have learned throughout the years, sometimes I have to take on different roles and boundaries for myself. If I know somebody else don't like it, why would I put myself in an uncomfortable position knowing that they're going to be uncomfortable and they're going to spew that on me? I don't want that on me. I don't want that on me. So if I have to, do like this or put on something different for us to have a good afternoon, and then when I go home, I do me, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put a smile on my face.
Okay. Question. Would you take that same mentality into a relationship? And here's why I asked that question. Because there are men who would meet you the way you are today, be attracted to that, and like, oh my gosh, she's so bad, I want to marry her, whatever. And then once you're with them, now all of a sudden it's your clothes too tight. Oh, your hair. Oh, why you gotta, and that sort of thing. So it's very easy in my opinion and in my thinking, I think it's very easy for someone who kind of sees it the way you do. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I get that. And to a degree, I'm like that too when it comes to my elders. But it's very easy for maybe someone to take that mentality into a situation with a toxic ass dude. And now it's kind of like, well, he's my man. I want to, make sure that there's no negativity or no bad vibes between us. So I won't, do this or that. Like, would you take that into a situation like that? Or would you more so for self-care and self-love say, hey man, like that ain't happening. You know what I mean?
That's a very interesting question. So I'm going to start off by answering it like this. I don't know how I would be in a relationship like that because I've never experienced that before. I've never had a toxic relationship. I've been toxic to a person intentionally, and that was immaturity with trying to leave a relationship and don't know how. Now I do know how.
Yeah.
I'm a church girl, so I'm going to put my finger up and be like, I'm done. You know, and whatever. So, but I think before I would get into any type of relationship with anyone, even friendships, I like to tell a person who I am, how I am, and how I want you to treat me.
Okay.
Those three things are so important to me because that eliminates a lot of confusion as to how we're going to move. I'll certainly let them know how I am based off of my past and where I am now. And I want you to be able to say, hey, I can't deal with that. True. Don't put me in a position to have to now all of a sudden this is something that's a problem. I don't want that.
But and that's the tricky thing, because we as men, we don't always, the representative is a real thing. You know what I mean? And so some of us are really, really good with that. Some of us are great with that. So, you're not necessarily gonna know, but like you said, you'll just throw the finger up and be like, hey.
Yeah, but I think that's the basis of having any good relationship. You have to have a friendship.
Absolutely.
So if we're establishing an idea of like, hey, I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me, let's see where this goes, that's the basis of where you should start your friendship. If I know that if I come to you looking a certain way, talking a certain way, and it's going to be a problem for you, I'm not going to say, oh, I don't like this, the way you do this. I'm going to look at myself like, I don't like how you just spoke to me. What am I going to do about that? Now, me, most of the time, I've got to get out of this habit of doing this. I don't always communicate.
Oh, you like a dude. In some ways, yeah.
That's the part of my father that's like, I kind of watched him manage his own emotions for years, and he taught me that skill. And now that I have learned how to manage that, I don't feel the need to have to discuss it with people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's a bad no. But then that's a good thing. But then there are some people who don't appreciate that, who want to know, how's your day been? What are you doing? How you feeling? There's times like, I don't want you talking to me.
Damn.
I am like that. So, a lot of times I think about how am I going to operate in a relationship when I only want to talk to you a few times a week?
Yeah, that could be difficult.
It is very difficult because even in my friendship with some of my girlfriends, I might want to talk to you once a week. If you call me, text me, I'm like, you're doing too much, sis.
Wow. She's antisocial, people.
I am, but when you're with me, I promise you, anybody I ever spend time with, they always love my energy, which is why they want more and more of it. But I just...
You don't have much to give. I
have a lot to give. I just don't want to give.
Okay. Because I know it's exhausting for some people.
It can be very exhausting. Yeah. And I am a mother. My son is 8 years old. So, and keyword, I did say son. So if any of y'all can see how prissy I am sitting here, having an 8-year-old boy is very, very fun and exciting. He keeps me on my feet. But we all know how boys are.
Absolutely.
They're rough. They need a lot of attention in the sense of you always got to be, what you in there doing? Are you breaking something?
Right, yeah.
So I have to conserve a lot of my energy for my child because that's where my heart, my mind, and my body is connected with. So regardless of what people are dealing with in their lives, I think we all know that sometimes when you have interactions with people, you take on whatever they give you unintentionally, you know? So like if your best friend call you and be like, oh man, let me tell you about what happened today. You have to sit there and be a listening ear, but you're taking all of that in and it's transpiring through your body. So by the end of the conversation, you think, oh, dog, I need a drink.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been there.
Or I want to go to bed, or I want to turn my phone off. I can't afford to do that every single time a person interacts with me in my life.
Right.
I just know right now I can't manage a lot of other people's interactions with me.
Mess. Yeah.
You see, I like to sometimes dance around the bush because, you know, sometimes it could be easier for a person to accept with
Yeah. I think I'm a little older, so reaching 40 is like, you know what, I don't even care. I'm just going to say it. I get tired. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the energy to dance around your feelings. I'm just going to say it. But I don't go around hurting people's feelings, but I feel like they respect my directness. So
they'll always respect a man being direct. That's one thing I think I have some troubles with now. If I speak my mind, why is it not acceptable a lot of times? So I've had to learn, either you deal with the consequences of saying what you want to say, or don't say it at all and let them deal with the consequences of not hearing it. But I do not like the societal double standards of how men can say whatever they feel, and we'll listen to it, swallow it, and come back for some more seconds. But as a woman, let her not say that. All that is just so annoying to me. Yeah. But that's just how our society is. So for all the men who have the ability and the platform to do that, kudos to y'all. Sometimes I think that it'll be a great opportunity if you know that there's a lot of things that women think or feel.
Right.
For you to speak up on our behalf to say, hey, you know, women don't like when y'all do da-da-da-da-da.
And I tend to do that, especially on the podcast.
That's good.
Because a lot of times I feel like we talk about how women behave, but we never address the trauma that made them behave that way, which came from us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I definitely speak up on that a lot, as well as other things. But then I do, you know, like some people feel like sometimes I bash women. I don't bash women. I bash certain types of women.
So give me an example. I want to hear
an example of a type of woman that I would bash. Honestly, I would bash a woman that wants a man to provide something for her that she can't provide for herself, and that would only deal with him on those terms. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not knocking the fact that a woman may feel like, hey, my dad was the provider. He held it down, and that's the example I had, and that's what I appreciate. Okay, cool. You're a woman. That's a given. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But for it to be a situation where it's like, well, yeah, dude, if you don't make this much money, we can't kick it. Or, yeah, dude, if you don't, if you're not willing to do this for me, then we can't kick it. Like those types of women. And I'm kind of sparing. I'm doing the dance a little bit. All right. Those types of women, I definitely have issues with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I speak to those type of women, and so also there are the women who, they're not bad women. They're not out to use and abuse guys, but they're focused on their goals and their ambitions, and I'm all for that. I support that 100%. But at the end of the day, I warn a lot of women that you can't do this well into your 40s and then look up and get upset because you're by yourself.
I do agree. I certainly agree. I'm that woman that you would bash.
Which one? Well, which facet of that woman?
I think all of them except for the last. I wouldn't get upset if I'm single as a result of having that type of behavior. As I mentioned before, I have an amazing man for a father. Went beyond just providing. And even now, well into my early 30s, there's nothing that I could call my dad and he wouldn't do it right instantly.
Okay.
So by having a man who went beyond his normal basic duties as a father, created a little bit of a monster in a sense of I will not tolerate anything less than what I received growing up.
That's different though, and I perceive that as a little different, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because basically, what I'm hearing is your father taught you how a man should treat you.
Yes. Through
whether it be just through his example, or if he actually sat you down and had a conversation, or both.
Or both.
Yeah. So I get that. I have a daughter. I'm the same way with her. If he doesn't open the door for you, don't talk to him anymore. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So I do get that, but I'm basically talking about it's a difference between having standards and knowing what you want and just being a damn a gold digger. You know what I mean?
No, I can understand that, but I think a lot of times that a lot of people do have their own definition of gold digging. Right. I would say I don't necessarily have a definition of it because I don't know exactly what a person may think or feel in their intentions of maybe doing something else to benefit from someone else. I will say this, I would never want to be in any relationship with any man if I didn't see a handful of benefits from the very beginning.
Absolutely. I see that.
I want you to put them on the table at the beginning, because that lets me know that once we're together and moving forward, you're not still going to just be in the same space with me a year. You're going to, and that's what I want for myself. And I will go a step further. I would sometimes have an expectation. I don't want a man to make under a certain salary because I know how I spend money.
See,
I get a nice big old picture and just, and that's how I am. I manage my own finances, included with doing all the things that I do.
That's different. Remember I said who expects a man to provide, well, I didn't say it in these words, but basically who expects a man to provide a lifestyle for her that she cannot provide for herself.
That's true.
That's the problem. You Shaquita, you at Bojangles, but you want me to,
what if you have the ability to take her from Bojangles and put her in a nice restaurant? Let's just say if you're a top shelf chef at whatever nice restaurant in the city, and you could say, hey, I don't know if I like this girl, but I'm vibing with her. Let me do something very small that I know I am very capable of doing, and elevate her life and see where that takes her. I think a lot of men have a issue of leadership in the full extent to where, hey, I do have these capabilities of putting this woman in a better position. Whether we ultimately stay together for a lifetime or whether it works out for 6 months, are you okay with doing that? I've had men in my lifetime who have said, I don't want nothing from you but to see you win. It's
because you're pretty. If you looked like me, if you were a girl and you looked like me, like with the chin hair and all, but you're a girl, no one would have ever done that for you.
That's so unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
And that makes me feel really, really sad. I do understand that there's a pretty girl syndrome that a lot of women benefit from.
True. We did an episode about it.
Yeah. I for a lot of years did not want to accept that because I had a different image of what pretty was to me. And then when a lot of people kept saying, they went from the term of pretty and then started referring to me as beautiful, I was like, wow, that's a little extreme. But I had to learn is it's not fully about your physical features. It's about your personality, your characteristics.
How you carry yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
when hearing that label, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I have invested a lot into my self-growth to where I can accept this title of being referred to as beautiful, if you wish.
Got it, yeah.
But for me, it's not just about a pretty face. A lot of time I look at it that if I see a man or a woman and I could see that I could benefit from them in some type of way, I want to somehow befriend you.
Absolutely.
And I'm very open with it.
But is that the only thing, though? Because here's the thing. You have a lot of people who will befriend people because they can benefit. But if they can't benefit, then it's like, yeah, nah, we can't even kick it.
Is that a bad
That's bad.
thing?
That's bad.
Wow, I do that.
and here's what I'll say. I'll be honest, because I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I told him, I said, hey, man, and on my podcast, I use all kind of language, so I'm sorry.
It's okay. You can feel free.
But, and I basically told him, I said, man, if a nigga ain't got a car, we can't kick it, man. Because I'm not going to be your fucking transportation. You know what I'm saying? If a dude doesn't want anything for himself, all he's going to do is be a weight on my back. He's going to drag me down. So I get that. But at the end of the day, I do have guys that I'm cool with, that I have history with, that may be in a situation where they don't have a car right now.
Right.
But if they call me and they want to talk or whatever, then, I mean, it's cool or whatever. And I'm not above giving a nigga a ride, but like, that's just, I'm too busy in my life right now. I'm too busy in my life right now for that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And I have, I don't want to be around people who don't have goals and visions.
Oh my God, no.
I can't do that.
Because you know what? That'll ultimately somehow jump on your shoulder.
It will, yeah.
Because, they might call you and spend 2 hours worth of having a conversation with you about their drama. And look what you did. You sat on the couch and listened versus you could have been talking to another one of your friends, Malcolm, and he said, oh, man, hey, there's a meeting on South End for entrepreneurs. I think you should come out.
Exactly.
That's a huge difference. Me, I totally agree. I cannot deal with anybody who doesn't have a car. And I'm just
and I hate to say it, it makes me sound so bad.
I don't feel bad. I tell men when I'm first starting to deal with them, if you can't drive me around, I don't care if I have to go to the hair store. If you can't, I don't.
My car's in the shop.
Whatever, let's get an Uber. You bring the Uber to me. I'm not above Uber, but I will say I don't drive myself. I'm not coming to meet you at your house. I'm not coming to meet you.
Well, if it's a date or if he wants to spend time with you, then he should definitely, if nothing else, be able to come and get you. You know what I'm saying?
I need beyond that.
And not on the bus.
Oh, I need beyond that.
But I'd come get you in an Uber.
If whatever it is, but I'll make that clear. I don't drive.
Really? You don't drive at all? Do you have a car?
I have a car. Okay. I drive for myself personally.
Got you. Yeah.
But if I'm doing and even my friends, I have the most amazing friends, girlfriends and guy friends. They know I'm like that, and they don't mind coming to my house, picking me up, and let's go into a restaurant.
Gotcha.
I don't mind paying for gas. I can't drive.
Prefer not to drive.
The only reason I'm like that, for anybody who thinking I'm bougie and don't like to drive, I was in a car accident years ago, and that traumatized me to where even sometimes if I have nightmares, that's the first thing I might have a nightmare about is that one car accident. So I have driver's anxiety a lot of times, so I don't like to drive on the highway. Everybody knows that about me who knows me, so they're okay with doing that for me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like the more attractive a woman, well, there are exceptions, but a lot of times the more attractive a woman is, the more they are kind of like, yeah, if ain't no benefits, I can't deal. You know what I'm saying? But I do know some women who I don't even think are attractive at all who are like that as well. I recently, am I going to get in trouble for saying this?
Yeah, say it.
I recently had an experience where a young lady basically told me that when it came to like trips or anything like that, like all she ever had to do was pack a bag. The dude booked the flights. He decided where they were going. He just basically said, hey, we're going here. Pack your bags. Now, that's dope. And I know a lot of women appreciate that and would appreciate that unless he wants to go to Amsterdam and you're just not interested. You know what I mean? But another take on that is I watched my father, who was the breadwinner, come home and just pass the money off to mom, and she would give him an allowance. He didn't pay any of the bills, like as far as physically or going online. He didn't do that. And whenever there was a trip, hey, I want to go here. You want to go? Go ahead and handle it. Plan the trip, book the flights, everything. Or if she says, hey, I want to go here. Okay, go ahead and book it. Plan the trip, book the flight. But he wasn't planning no trips. He wasn't booking the flights. And I mean, that just wasn't who he was. So my example was different. And because my example was different, I could very easily see me being the guy who says, all right, you want to go to here? Then, okay, cool, man. Just put it all together. Let me know what I need to do. That's it.
Yeah. That's
okay,
bad? No, that's a challenge.
It's a challenge?
It's a challenge because I grew up very much the same way. I'm not exactly sure how my parents did their finances, but I do know my father was a breadwinner growing up. My mother was a full-time mom and had a business, but she was doing the day-to-day things. When we would go on trips, she would plan it. She and even still now does this, and they've been married for I think 33 years. So okay. I grew up watching that. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't a problem growing up watching that, and even still experiencing. When we take family vacations, my mom does all that stuff for us, right, even though we're capable of, as her children, to do that. On the flip side,
I knew there was another side.
On the flip side, I have gotten a taste of that lifestyle to where you are with a man who takes it upon himself to say, hey, I want to go this place and I want you to come with me. Are you available these dates?
And that's different, though.
It is different, but it kind of feels the same. Because it feels the same in the sense of he's saying, hey, pack a bag, we going to this place. You know, he may not say it the same exact way as you expect it to be said, right, but it's the same concept. Of, you know, he's planning everything, you just packing a bag, just going along with.
But a lot of times, so I've done that as well. But I'm just going to be honest.
I like that for the people who watching.
If you're taking notes.
If you're taking notes.
But no, like, I've done that. But I'll be honest, the times that I did that and was like, hey, I'm going here, you want to come pack a bag? I was ready to screw.
Yeah, that would work for me. I will say this. I am a lot more older. I get propositioned for vacations all the time. Through my DMs, sometimes the people hit my email. I get my lashes done in this building, and a few weeks ago, actually a white guy propositioned me. He was like, you know, I want to be your man. Whatever it takes, I'll take you wherever. And I told him, I said, that's so cute. Wow. That he was like, no, I'm serious. I said, I bet you are.
Thank you for your little proposal. That's what your little proposal. Yeah. I
have grown out of that idea of what that stood for. I'm not going nowhere on vacation to be somebody's sex toy.
So here's the thing, and I get that, and I'm proud of you for that. Like a lot of women, a lot of women, man,
I know,
yeah, seriously, yeah. So I definitely respect that.
I ain't knocking if they do it too.
But my thing would be like, if we went on vacation, you're gonna have a great time. Like, I'm not just gonna feed you and fuck you. Like, you're gonna get out, you're gonna do some excursions, you're gonna have a great time. Yeah. You'll do all these amazing things. But when it's time to go to bed, like, you're not in another room, you're not in another bed. Like, we gonna, you know. But as much as I was that guy, I remember a time we went to a particular, I think it was like Bike Week or something. We were very young, and went there. Met these girls. They were all in the room together. We had like adjoining rooms or something to that degree. And we hung out. And I noticed the one girl, man, like, she was eating chips and shit. And I'm like, you got money? Can you eat? Like, so I fed her and kind of like looked out for her and whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Bless you for doing that.
And she thought that, well, I know I got to give him some now. That sort of thing. And I told her, I was like, nah, man, you good. Like, we ain't doing that. You good. Like, I just know you wanted to eat or whatever. So just as much as I was once that guy, I was that guy as well. I said all that to say this. If a woman is vibing with a dude, because what happens is when you take a woman on vacay, if you're already interested in each other and the feeling is mutual, when you take her on vacay, all you're doing is speeding up the process. That's it. Whereas you may have to wait 3 weeks or 3 months to get the booty. If you take her on vacation, you might knock a week or a month off. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know nothing about that life experience.